What's up, guys? I usually don't do these types of videos, but I wanted to give you guys my personal preparation before the national. So I kind of have three segments in the video. What I'm personally looking to buy, some advice I would give people if it's your first time, you're bringing a friend whose first time it is, and just kind of my opinion on what's possibly a good buy, what's not. Take it for what you will. I'm not an expert. I've done pretty bad on a lot of investments, but I kind of just like putting my opinion out there, see you guys think. So, my preparation for the national. First off, I have who I'm personally looking to buy, 3 or 4 players. First off, we have Kyle Trask. Probably not the most notable guy, but I think him and Jordan Love, those backup quarterbacks sitting behind generational quarterbacks, like Trask is sitting behind Brady. Jordan Love is sitting behind Rodgers. So, just for how cheap they are, I think, at some point they'll play maybe a week or two, and, Rodgers and Brady aren't going to last forever. So I think there's definitely some value long term. I wouldn't put a ton of money into them, but I just think having a nice numbered prism of each of them, putting it away, and just, if they start at some point this year, God forbid Rodgers tweaks his ankle a little bit, Again, I know I think Trask could be a little bit more relevant, even though he's not. He was a second round pick out of Florida, but Brady's on a 2-year contract, so not sure how that plays into Trask. Again, I don't think he's already kind of toyed with retirement, and I'm not too sure about Love and Rodgers and how that plays out. I think Love, they kind of drafted him to be the answer, but if Rodgers plays out his 3-year contract, Love is already going to be off his rookie contract, and I don't know what Jordan Love even thinks about that. So I think there's definitely some potential in buying those like backup quarterbacks, just holding on to some cheaper stuff and see what happens to it. But personally, I'm looking for those two guys. I wouldn't go out of my way to buy them, but I think there's definitely some opportunity there. So second off, Kobe. Kobe's my PC, so I'll always buy him to collect. But I think there's definitely some investment opportunities in some of his tops rookies. Personally, I think, was talking to a friend of mine, but he thinks the Kobe 50th tops rookie is a great play, which I definitely agree with him. So I would not mind picking up one of those for myself in a PSA 7 or 8 till his documentary series comes out. So I think there are some Kobe cards with his documentary series coming out that definitely have some potential to see a little bit of a bump. I don't know if it'll happen the way that it did with The Last Dance and Jordan stuff, but I still think Kobe's always a great buy. And with the documentary coming out, you can't go wrong. So third off, I am personally looking for Kareem Abdul Jabbar, probably the best center that's ever played in the NBA. His autographs just seem stupid cheap for like $200 or $300. Like, I had someone offer me, I think it was a base Prism auto for $150. Thought that was an absolute steal. I know he signs a lot, but I don't see his autographs. Like, I don't understand how they're that low. I wouldn't mind holding on to one, just kind of holding on to it long term. I think, again, he's not going to be signing forever. They already seem super undervalued as is, but, just kind of another long-term play, a Kareem auto, just putting it away, holding on to it for a while, kind of seeing how the market, how the market changes. But I still think for $200 or $300, you can't go wrong with the best center ever. So again, he's not gonna be signing forever, and I want to have one in my PC. So I think now's a pretty good time to get them while they're relatively cheap. So personally, I guess those were kind of my personal buys, but my not buys almost, or I think football quarterbacks, I think obviously, kind of like I don't know what the word is, but I think basketball is a little bit too early to buy right now. I think prices are going to dip a little bit more until it's actually a good time to buy and fully go into basketball. Personally, I'm waiting a few more months before going into basketball. I think there's still some opportunity now, but I think it's going to dip a little bit more. I think prices have to cool down. I think there will be some more comps, like, just to kind of I just generally think the market will go down a little bit more for basketball. And football, I wouldn't mind getting into some more football, but I think the time to buy that was a couple months ago. I think, again, if you're going to get into it, now is definitely the time. Comps are already starting to rise. Comps are starting to rise on football. But, if I see some plays, I wouldn't mind picking up some more quarterback stuff. But I'm personally, again, not going big into basketball and football. I think the time is already passed, but I wouldn't mind, if the deal arises, I wouldn't mind picking up some more stuff. So some kind of advice I have for you guys. Not that I'm an expert by any means. I've been to, I think, one national. I've been to a couple other shows. Been in the hobby for a little over a year. So just kind of some stuff I've heard, picked up. I personally think. Try and do bulk deals is the number one thing I've heard. And I've kind of experienced myself. They seem to work with you in bulk. I've heard of people buying out sellers' tables, just taking multiple cards. People will work with you. So yeah, just buy in bulk. Obviously be friendly. Be a nice person. Be genuine. Try to start some small talk conversation. You can probably figure out who's willing to work with you in bulk and who's probably not. Number 3, don't be afraid to offer. I feel like sometimes at shows I get worried about offering, and I just like they're a little bit high. I want to be lower. I'm not gonna make an offer. I think from what I've seen, I've been doing this a little bit more on Instagram. Just offering. If I want to pay, I don't know, the card. Let's say they have it priced at $100. I want to pay $80 for it. I know that's what I want to get into it at. So you just offer 80. At a card show, maybe they have it. I'll give you an example. They have it priced at 110. Let's say it comps at 100, and you want to get into $75, $80 for it. So I think the worst you can do is just offer them $75, $80 for it and move on. Worst case scenario, they say no. If it's a card you really want, what's the worst they're gonna say? No. Yeah. So I just think don't be afraid to offer. Worst comes to worst, they say no. People generally, I'd rather have someone give me a lower offer on a card than just have no offers at all. So. And you don't know what people are willing to take on a card. Maybe they know it's mispriced or they have room on it, whatever. But just don't be afraid to offer if it's card you're looking to buy. So, and number 4, finally, is be prepared. Have you packed deodorant? Sorry, that's a big one on Instagram right now. People are making a lot of jokes about that. Are you properly packed? Phone, card case, portable charger is a big one. If your phone dies, you're gonna be at that show probably 6 to 10 hours a day, probably something like that. So again, just be prepared. How are you going to carry your cards? What are you going to do for food? Obviously bring deodorant. You don't want the place to smell bad. But yeah, just be prepared. Pretty simple. Make sure you pack right. And yeah, that's all I've got for you guys. Those are my personal tips for the national and what I'm personally doing. So that's all I've got for you guys. Thank you for watching, and